Good afternoon, everyone. So I would like to start by inviting you get out of the forest in Indonesia and travel through time and stay into some location that with some scenes that I've already seen, and I would like you to see it well. The first thing, first destination, Lidcombe. So on Friday morning with beautiful sky, and I decided to have some coffee at the railway cafe, just facing Lidcombe station. And after a while, I decided to move to a bench facing the railway. And after that, a young man, from what I can see, he wearing black from top to toe. And he just walked by and then sat on the bench next to my right. And after a while, he just opened the curtain and started to drink. Some minutes later, he asked me what I was doing. And I told him that I just enjoying the view. And he asked to sit next to me. And then we had some kind of quick chat. And from what he told me that he originally from South Sudan, came to Australia with his parents and recently doing business as UTS. So when I asked him about what he feel, his opinion about the place that we're sitting at the moment, and this is what he said and what he did. Oh man, push me and say, I love this place, and do some God blessing gesture. Yeah, it's welcoming. That's what he said. So I noticed a curl of alcohol smell lingering in the air, and I looked up, and there's a pole right there. It said alcohol-free zone. Okay, second destination, Liverpool. So I was sitting on a bench near stairways, and another guy sitting next to my, two seats away from me, and a female guard, she just stood by and holding two flags, one blue, one red. The train was approaching and slowing down to a halt and pulling to platform 3 where I was sitting. And passengers started to depart and left, concentrating and dispersing at the doorways. And when all the boarding finished, the guard raised one of the blue flag, signaling the door times for the door to close. And here came the familiar message: door closing, please stand clear. Well, the best I can do. And beep, beep, and then stop! Hey, you, stop! Wait, you wait. What happened was, one of the women trying to get through the closing door and stopped by the guard, with her sunglasses on, replied, okay, all right, and walked towards my bench. Meanwhile, the guard disappeared into her guard room, shut the door, leaving the mildly tense atmosphere lingering in the air. Okay, third destination. And I do apologize for the language that I'm going to use. Okay, it's just ordinary language that we hear on everyday life, right? So, on one occasion, outside Redfern Station, as I was walking along with a male pedestrian, a cyclist, and a car, and all passerby, an exchange erupted. A male pedestrian said, "You fucking idiot!" Sorry. And
this is like my every morning and every evening. I'm the cyclist, yelling at the pedestrians in the cars.
Okay, and then the male cyclist replied, snapped, "You fucking idiot!" And then they continued to exchange one more time. And I was wondering, is the space too small or our human hearts narrow? Just for me.
What do you reckon? So, both of those things.
You wonder where I was? Okay, here I am watching, observing. Okay, so these moments, or fragments that I picked from a collection of experience that I have with public transport while commuting, waiting, sitting, and walking. Some of them are joyful, some of them are suspicious, touching, and some other very distasteful and disrespectful or insulting, have usually been ignored or even portrayed in a very negative light in research. This experiential mode of public life has been deemed to be wasted, insignificant, or unproductive. Studying public transport, mostly done by technicians, transport planners, and economists, predominantly approaches as pure infrastructure. The main purpose is then to develop kind of technical models to reduce this unproductive time vis-a-vis costs. All forms of experience are irrelevant. Another line of arguments and research done by sociologists, human geographers, anthropologists portrays modern spaces, including public transports, as non-place. Along the line which marginal place versus central place, backstage versus front stage, place versus places. So the further consequence is the time commuting become dead. So there's a parenthesis, mute all kind of experience that we have in public transport. So to resonate one of the lines that I love, life is not paragraph in death, certainly no parenthesis. So my idea is to challenge the domination of dead time or lost time narratives. So I want to explore the possibility of public transport, particularly focused on transport hubs, to function as public spaces and to make sense of this publicness resonating public space conception. And I really want to develop a method to incorporate those personally felt, fleeting, spontaneous moments and affects in studying and understanding transport hubs as public spaces. At the heart of my attention is to follow Jane Jacobs' timeless suggestion of close observations of how transport spaces are used and experienced in everyday life by different people. And to collect experiential, personal, spontaneous, emotionally charged, affective moments through in-depth participant observation. Then juxtapose, arrange and rearrange these fragments with an expectation that a constellation of different fragments will form out of these juxtapositions, but not going to stop just at these so-called micro interactions. As going so far might be going too far, and I really don't want to end up describing or studying physiological or psychological mental state of mind. So in order to transform my intention idea into a researchable research, I draw on other sources beyond my personal experience as public transport user in Sydney, including my professional experience as urban designer and planner, and my exposure to public push space projects, public space studies, urban studies, mobility, urban planning, transport planning, and urban design. Of course, I'm influenced by Henry Lefebvre ontological thinking on social space as well. So my research aimed to explore the production of transport hubs as public space in both professional fields of urban planning, urban design, and everyday practices in contemporary Sydney. At the heart of my research is the presupposition that the production of publicness of space is dynamic and fragmented, which simultaneously takes place in three distinguishable processes: material production, knowledge production, and production of significance with involvement of heterogeneous network of non-human and human actors. So to identify these processes as well as the network of diverse actors engaged in the production process, my efforts has been to gather and synthesize relevant literature in order to establish a conceptual framework controls to fulfill my research aim. So my engagement with wider literature from multiple disciplines and fields of research has led me to three most important delineations. The first one, public transport as public space, mostly driven by post-spate publication. So I did a bit of a scoping review to find the connected device between public transport and public space. And the second delineation is all about more than A to B mobility, mostly by authors for mobility terms, such as influential John Irving on the move mode of thinking, Tim Creswell, mobility as social construct, and Jensen Ollie, staging mobility from above and from below. And importantly, David Bissell from Melbourne University published a book on community life in Sydney. And in order to make sense of public transport as public space and to think beyond mobility A to B functionalistic model, social space and production space also important. It's an ontological explanation of how to make sense of my research. And I draw on Lefebvrean scholars and also Ali Madanpour's meta framework of general, particular, and singular, and Kurt Iverson procedural approach to public space to look beyond the boundary of public space at not just the quality perceived, but what we do, what we address to one another. And Johnson Kwan's notion of variegated, amorphous, fragmented publicness bring the discourse outside Europe-centric approach. So with the conceptual controls combining theories and presupposition assumption, the production of public transport hubs can be investigated through three triadic framework or spatial triad with three dialectical related moments, idealized publicness, materialized publicness pertaining to physical environment, and experiential publicness with three correspondence research question: how public transport hubs and public space are idealized in urban policy, planning, and design? How is the public transport hubs materialized through their build form and regulation? And how are transport hubs inhabited, appropriated, and experienced as public space? So this is a visualization of my triadic analytical framework. Okay, from past filter, ideal sphere, and real sphere, we have come together the publicness notion. And if we free time, and for a moment, and take a synchronic snippet of this always in motion framework, we have some kind of kernel that is formed out of three formats: materialized, idealized, and experientialized, along with the three most relevant groups of human actors involved in the process. So the frameworks represent both individual and social processes, moving from subject who think, act, experience, and feel, to social production of thoughts, concepts, actions, experience, and feelings, and vice versa. Each moment encompasses its own collection of objects, subjects, and types of activities. Now time for the discussion. So this one very important example of how framework works, and also good point to connect with my next slides. Okay, ask for the permission to present this, so it's okay. Monday, 15 December 2025, me, Kurt, Annie, and Francisco together, we gathered at the Concourse. We sat at a cafe by the railway again, facing the southern access to the Concourse and platforms. After sitting there roughly for 30 minutes, we decided to take a stroll. Okay, Annie, I'm going to the Louvre. I left. Francisco, what did he say? How's his plan?
Translation work, yes.
Yeah, smiling, randomly some TV shows. There's a Big Bang Theory where I heard that slang. I did search for that slang and I got that. We walked along the streets on the southern side of the station navigating line of pedestrians and customers of Korean sidewalks, eateries, and mini markets. Kurt spotted some painted paper and writing on the walls and pipes. We paused to look and mingle. Then we encountered a barefoot bowling spot. Kurt explained to me how to play while Annie checked a sideboard on the metal legs. We continued eastward until we reached Rookwood Cemetery. We went in and chatted about whether the pub counts as a pub in city planning, while trains arrived and left this conversation behind us. As we were leaving, Kurt told me, there's so much you can do in this place. This is probably your only case. You chose well. Thank you, Kurt. So this single experience that we had during the excursion is part of the production of publicness of transport hubs. To target these similar experiences, I will adopt a case study approach in my research with 2 to 4 transport hubs in Greater Sydney will be selected as a singular cases based on some objective criteria, such as the one that's subjected to TOD program, located area varying socio-economic status, involved in completed or ongoing urban design projects, art program, and other initiatives, or having multiple interchanges with diverse topographical features. Sydney urbanization context also poses an interest case for this study. The city has been adopting a global vision, bringing great place to life, the one that are clustered around public transports, hubs, and interchanges, precincts, and bring diverse people together. With the creation of these hubs, as well as global vision, it's expected that Greater Sydney will be transformed into a more compact, multi-center global metropolis. Urban planning design has a main instrument to actualize these visions and ambition, with strategized public transport hub as catalyst for urban growth. Understanding how public transport hub as public space is constructed and produced in this complex cosmopolitan context with intersecting and colliding forces is crucial and sensitive to the questions such as what kind of public transport hubs are produced and reproduced, what types of materiality and publics do they generate, and what do these dynamics reveal about commuting and urban public life in Sydney. So here, my research design with the thesis structure, research issue, questions, and sub-questions. The conceptual framework reforms chapter 2, methodology chapter 3, finding discussion across cases chapter 4, 5, 6, and 7. The timeline what I did last year with some, sorry for that, last year with some meeting with personnel in New South Wales and all the events that I attended. I want to end with this fleeting encounter. As I was walking and humming my favorite song, coffee, an aroma of coffee struck me. I looked up. There were a man and his daughter walking toward me. When they were close, he moved to his left to let me pass because of the tree there. I cast a quick glance at his face and then looked away to see a possibility for a fleeting greeting. And I sensed the signal was right. And I said, "Good morning." He replied, "Good morning." I continued, "I really need a coffee right now." To my surprise, he stopped and smiled and pointed to the direction where I can get a coffee. We said, "Have a good day" to each other, and I continued my journey to the campus with a feeling as if I've been given a double shot of espresso. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dean, my supervisor in Coast Transit. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions for Dean?
Who was first? No, your hand was up first.
Okay, so yeah, I like your presentation. It's great, and your sketch is very level, different level. So yeah, I wonder how you chose stations as your samples. because I live far away and my station is far more different compared to the stations in the inner areas. So will you go to stations that is far from city center, or so what is your plan?
You mean the case selection? Something?
Yeah, the case study.
Yeah. So I think I talked to Sonia about this when we were together in the office. The case, I have some objective criteria. Yes. But also I have traveled extensively to different stations, even including metro stations, to stay there for a while, linger on and to see what I expect to see, but also to expose myself to the place. So when I arrived at Lidcombe Station, I don't know why I feel like, oh, this is the one, the first one. Yeah. So from that, I think I will identify more based on my, I don't know, it's just a connection between me and the place. And I think because of the symmetry, that's why I choose the station. But also, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was very cool. Thanks, Dan. And now I know where Kurt was in mid-December. Yes, so transport places also have to be secured, right? Surveilled and made safe and made, the conditions set up to go out and to continue to flow. And you didn't really talk about that at all, kind of the forces that are working against them being public spaces. And they're quite ramped up in most public, public transport nodes for obvious reasons. So, where's that part of the story? Because that's one of the existing narratives of transport spaces, right? So they need to be securitized, etc. That wasn't in the lit review, and it's not kind of here. So how does that figure into what you're doing?
I think because of this brevity, I cannot present all the things that I researched last year. But you're right. Mostly when we think of public transport, we think in terms of reliability or efficiency or safety reason. But that's just one part of what it means to be public space.
You think of CCTV as well, recording everything, both in carriages and on platform.
And in Melbourne, public safety guards that have guns. Yes.
Sorry, we interrupted. Yeah, so what happens?
Do you not, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Would you not argue that potentially that kind of, I don't know, having all of those safety regulations inherently kind of like, I don't know, it kind of is like a conduit for fear, and potentially like, if what we're talking about here is like trying to facilitate kind of feelings of like inspiration and social gathering, and that comes through like beauty and I don't know, like going back to the first talk, which was about spirituality, and I don't know, you're kind of like talking about creating spaces which kind of stop people and blah, blah, and like safety doesn't do exist like independent to that kind of scenario.
I don't know, I'm answering the question.
Sorry.
I'm thinking for parameters within which these hopefuls or fun spaces are created, and I don't know, I guess I was just drawing attention to that. But
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're right. It's not about changing how the space is, but to explore the possibility of thus covering space and production practices that we done to the place and space. If we keep thinking of public transport as a space for security, for safety only, then I think we do a great justice to disregard all the social, cultural, and affective moment that we have with public transport. And I think part of my research is not to change the narrative, but bring different narrative from economists, even transport planner and technicians. They think of public transport, it's a mere infrastructure as an absolute space, nothing else. So it's just the base for people to use. So the most reason is to secure safety. But other people from like socialists and anthropologists, they think of space in terms of like it's not a mere infrastructure. It's the whole process that we done to the place, including our effective, personally felt moment. And it's hard to bring those moments into the study of investigating, particularly public transport, even public space. Now it's just an infrastructure for some researcher. But I hope still it's the early phase of my research. I hope through interacting with urban planner, transport planner, and then designer, and also the inhabitants, the people who live near the hub, and also user of the space. I don't know, just bring general understanding, particular understanding, and then singular moment, lived experience to collide, to form some kind of, how to say, constellation between different fragments.
Are you thinking about the relationality between those fragments? I think that's what needs. I'm sorry. Like that sounds cool and interesting. And I guess I think what you're getting at is that in drawing out these sort of lesser seen or lesser observed relationships, moments, fragments within these spaces, are you considering how you will relate those to the other productions of space that are going on? Or are you just sort of trying to draw out and highlight these moments?
Me and Kurt talked about this before. And my still struggle to think about the connection between the three different maybe spheres. We think of like kind of structure, macro level of thinking, and then here we have micro interaction between people in space, and how we put them together. I don't think we can do that. We just think of them just fragments, and then when we put them, juxtapose them together, my purpose is to draw the line, but also leave some room for the audience, the reader, to provide their own interpretation, connection as well. Hopefully it's going to work. I'm not sure. But also I'm inspired by fragmentalism and modern art in the 18th century, cubism. They try and avant-garde, trying to put some imaginative, not real scenario together. But still, we learn something from that. We draw something, but we're unable to express. Was it just like, I don't know, just flat? But if we bring different kind of language together, image, short poem, and some poem and good saying, old saying, that's why I'm using some kind of like, there's certainly not parenthesis, in order to make impressionistic and to connect, to provide some kind of artistic effect. And space just like that. It's not just a hard functionalist purpose that we build space, but also how to connect people through space and place. That's what we do as a geographer, I guess.
Sophie, did you have a question? Yeah, that's fine. Did you say there's?
I think one more question.
Okay, there's no time.
Maybe afterwards.
Yeah, thank you. Just send it. Good afternoon, everyone. So I would like to start with you all.
My name is Joseph Alansa, and I'm from UTS. Today I will be presenting some components of my PhD work to you, and it's based on the food work. My PhD came from this angle, and they normally say that if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. But for the smallholder farmers, the kitchen is the entire farm, as you can see from the picture. And now that you are plugged into the kitchen, how will you come out? You can come out, and the heat is too much. Whether you can stand, you cannot stand, that's now what you have to think about. So my PhD is all about trying to see the vulnerability of smallholder farmers to climate change-induced stress and how are they coping with the heat. So today I'll present on the food work based on employ mixed methods to do this particular study. And I just came back from Florida not long ago. So what I will do today is just to present my experience of conducting this particular study using mixed method. All right, this is the outline of my presentation. Okay, as I said, my PhD is all about vulnerability adaptive response of smallholder farmers to climate-induced stress in northern Ghana. In this particular work, I try to understand the impact of heat on farmers' health and their productivity, and to understand how they cope with heat, and to understand how structural barriers or enablers affect or enable them to cope, And then the structure, the broader structure, economic component, how it affects their coping capacity in Northern Ghana. So that is my PhD is all about. So in this work, there is the significant contribution broadly about my PhD. I'm using the concept of vulnerability and climate precarity for this particular study. And by the end of this study, I'll integrate the approach of this for a multidimensional analysis, and then develop a empirical framework for examining heat impact on adult workers in general. And significant academic contribution, I'll have some empirical and theoretical contribution, then policy and practical impact. It will provide evidence-based insight for policymakers, and that will support the achievement of SDG 3, SDG 8, and some related ones, which is 2, 1, and the 3rd. So these are some of the contributions that my study will contribute to. Okay. So background, so heat stress refers to stress strain caused by high temperature exceeding the body capacity to maintain thermal balance. And then workers, that is adult workers, are normally affected by this particular issue because their work is all about outside and the heat is too much. And smallholder farmers are one of them. And what they do is that when they go to farm, they are exposed to this particular high temperature for long hours of work they do. And they do based on manual base. That is what they do. So it affects their health, their productivity, their ability to work, and then also their livelihood as well. And that is what it affects them from based on literature. Based on this, previous studies have conducted using mixed method widely, especially in South Africa, including Ghana. And they use mixed method to capture both exposure and experience of climate risks. That is to get the experience, life experience of this. But most of this research now present mixed method as straightforward and methodically coherent. It's like something that is neutral. Okay, so I follow this angle thinking that everything will be fine. But when I go to the field, it appeared that my plans and my research design couldn't work, which I need to adapt. And then in the process of adapting, I obtained some knowledge that wouldn't have been possible if I'm not adapted. And that is why I term as fieldwork frictions that occur during the fieldwork. And then how the flexibility that I reflected about and how I was able to generate knowledge. And this one, I've developed a paper, and the paper is currently under review. So fieldwork friction is tension, misunderstanding, constraint, and negotiation that shape research process. And then this one is depend on how you're able to handle it. Either you're able to generate good outcome of that, or it will affect your research generally. So reflexivity is ongoing critical awareness of positionality and methodological choice. Whom you are within the particular field, what methods did you employ in that particular field? Critical analyzing them, be able to see whether frictions can help you to do something or not. So these are some of the conceptual definitions. So this is my study area I conducted in Northern Ghana. If you come to Ghana, broadly divided into two, we have Southern Ghana and Northern Ghana. In terms of climate, Northern Ghana is normally classified as hotspots. And this as a result of their proximity to Sahara Desert. And then linking to pre-colonial period or colonial time when British came to Ghana to colonize the country. All the development channel to Southern Ghana, leaving Northern Ghana. So it's like if you come, all the development is centered in Southern, leaving Northern Ghana. So the poverty is so high in Northern Ghana. So Northern Ghana is less developed as compared to Southern Ghana. So they are facing two major challenges. They are facing the climate change issues and also facing the poverty or less developed as well. And this was the reason why I selected Northern Ghana for my PhD studies. So this is the overall methodology for my studies. I use explanatory sequential mixed method. And this was based on pharmaceutical philosophy. And in this method, or this design, was aimed to collect quantitative data as first phase. And after that, I will analyze it, then get a trend to incorporate into a qualitative component to now investigate deeply into the issue. What is it all about? And then I'm able to know what is on the ground. And that is the anticipation methodology that I have on board before I went to the field in Ghana last year, July. So I used simple random sampling and was to select 391 farmers based on this particular formula that's used to determine quantitative component. And I was to use survey, and I was to use the couple collect to do this data collection. And after that, as I said, then I will now try to look at the trend within this particular quantitative that I can get the qualitative insights to investigate the issue more. Then from there, then I can make both the trend to explain the issue at hand. That was what I intend to do. The rest is just about after analysis, which I've not done yet. So this is just overall my PhD research framework. This one corresponds to the objectives. I have 4 objectives, and just based on how I'm going to analyze it. Okay, so after I have this one in mind and my ethics was approved, so I went back to Ghana in July last year. As standard practice that I need to do community entry before I can start the data collection. So, but I was thinking that since I'm a northerner as well, I didn't expect that my data collection will be challenging to me. I expect that at least since I'm a northerner, I can speak their language. At least data collection will be minimal, like not too difficult. And based on my previous experience as well, based on data collection that I did in Northern Ghana. But when I went and I have to see the community leaders, so when I engaged with them, they were very happy after explaining the issue or explaining my research to them. They were very happy with me. And then they assure me of their full backing that they will support me to be able to get this particular data. So I was like, it gave me positive like outcome that, oh, I already get what I need. Before I will come back to Australia. So issue 9 came when I started the phase 1. So after I did the first one, that is community entry, then when I started the phase 1, it appeared that almost all the farmers were not available. Most of them are not available. And those ones that I haven't scheduled with, some of them like postponed, some of them cancel it. And I start thinking, I say, what is this? And Australia is too far from Ghana. If I don't get what I need, what am I going to do? So I wasn't getting it. And then not only they are not available, they also perceive me as someone who was outsider, which I couldn't understand. It was like mistrust. And after asking them several questions, it's like a lot of works have been done in Northern Ghana or in particular those particular areas, trying to ask them several questions, but they don't see the usefulness of those questions that they've been asking them. So why should they give the information to someone that they don't even know again? So that was their experience. And that is why they didn't trust me. They didn't even know what I'm going to use it for. After even explaining everything to them, they didn't understand me. As you can see from them, some of them were saying that people come ask their questions and leave, but our lives stay the same. You are here, wanting to answer the same questions and improve your life. Why will we continue to suffer here? So these were some of the things that make them participation very low. And not only that, they also esteem it to be like politician. In the sense that the politicians normally come to talk to them, they'll do this, but after they have won, nothing happened. So they didn't want to actually attend to me. So this actually speaks something to we, the researchers, that it doesn't matter whether your community leaders accept you as insider or accept you to do your study, is that not guarantee that your participants will accept you or will trust you or will give you the information that you need, unless you try to build a particular trust with them and let them know who you are and this what you are coming to do before they can respond to you. So it gave me a lot of headache. I was keep on thinking, what should I do? Now, after that, I sit down to think critically. I said, okay, because they are not available, so it would be like it was their farming season, so the time was not good. It could be one, and also the location, because I aim to conduct these particular studies or to do that within their households, not that is what we do, or in the public place within the particular communities. And I also think about the formality, how I approach it as well. Then also think about the mistrust. Why they don't mistrust me? Why they mistrust me? So after that, after I reflect about these things, I said, okay, then let me forget about that. I try to go to their farms, if only they accepted for me to go to their farms. Try to just build that particular trust, and then I'm able to get the data I need. So I conducted a survey on participant farms based on their preference, but some of them were still conducted within their households. But most of them needed me to come to their farm as well. So I just have to go to their farm and do the particular survey. And after doing one or two things, like I was not happy if a participant wanted me to come to their farm. Because when I get to that particular farm, it's like things I see, it was also different. So if I wanted to have done within their households, I don't think till that reveal for other observation, I was able to see those things. Now, what I did that, as you can see from the pictures, when I get to their farm, I try to help them small, just try to participate what they are doing. Then I made one or two funny things. And then after that, you see, they will build a particular trust. And when they are like about to rest, then I'll try to interview them. And some of them, as I was doing that, I was interviewing them. That is how I was doing to get the data. So not only that I did, but I also decided to go into their houses because they didn't trust me. No, not their houses, in the evening. Like sometimes when they come back from work, they sit down outside to just chat and all those things. So I decided to just go into their evening, try to participate what they are doing, also interact with them and all those things. Try to just build that trust. Then these two things really helped me. And this participant was now willing to give me the information that I need. But I was very careful. That doesn't mean that if they are ready to give the information, you don't move further. They will give you wrong information. I remain attentive on functionality and everything, then I was able to collect the data I need. So I was able to get a rapport and trust, a sense of belonging, and clarity about my role and intention. I'm not a politician, but I'm just a student coming to do this to get my PhD done. Okay, so let's now see what happened after I've done this and the evening interaction with them and going to their farms to do the survey with them. So after I finished that, I used Copeland College to do this particular study. So after I finished, within the particular time, I tried to analyze it within the Copeland College to see the trend that I cannot channel my interviews through that. But when I analyzed that, I saw that the observation revealed more than what the quantitative or what the trend was telling me. And who's telling me is that if I want to base on that particular one, I will not get the actual thing on the ground. So the quantitative result gave limited content for observation revealed daily routine and decision making. Farmers often work during peak heat, that's why knowing the risks. Some of them know the risks, but they often work. And this one was not captured in my survey. So I tried to ask myself questions. Why? And that told me to channel my phase 2 interviews. And also gender and household dynamics. And as I was in the farms, I saw a lot of things that women and children apply fertilizer and something they are working, while men are just sitting down doing nothing. And women are in the field doing the thing. Not only that, I also saw men resting outdoor. After the farm, the evening interaction with them, after the farm, when they come home, I saw men are just sitting down, relaxing, sitting outside, and ladies are inside, even doing the household chores, cooking with babies on their back, and men are just sitting outside for doing nothing. So I didn't understand, even though these things are very common as a northerner, but it gave me a different angle view because it was too much for me. So another thing was that as I was interacting with them, some of them complained that it's poverty and marginalization left them like no choice but them to just engage in farming. That they have nothing to do but only the farming, that is what they do for survival. So this was what I had, and I said, no, then the surveys alone will not give me the actual results. So I decided that no, let me prove further in the phase 2 component. So I proved further, incorporating all the observation that I saw into the phase 2, and I was able to get a lot of knowledge that only survey alone couldn't have given me. Okay, so what is our contribution? What is the lesson that we can learn from this? Yeah, so based on this, as I said, I just drafted a paper and I submitted still under review. And I make an argument because I didn't plan to do any ethnographic research. My plans were just a mixed method. But after I've done this particular one, just because of food web friction that occurred, and I have to go to their farms and also spend some time with them, I saw that things that revealed to me that was all captured in the survey, and that is very good, especially if a researcher, you are doing mixed method, explanation mixed method, you want to base on just the survey just to see the trend that can channel you on the phase 2, you may miss the reality on the ground. And that is the lesson, or that is the argument that I'm making, that mixed method is not just about straightforward, but a lot of things do happen in the food. But these ones are underreported. That though they see to like daily routine, like they see to like something that is normal. But for me, it is not normal. What about the new researchers? We those who are just coming. And we don't know these things all around, and this is sometimes it's not in the book that you can learn. Yeah, so I just decided to document it. So lesson that we can learn, treat food web frictions as opportunity to gain insight rather than obstacle. And in this one, it doesn't matter whether you are doing mixed method, you are doing just purely qualitative, you are doing only quantitative. But if you face any challenge, and the challenge is about frictions, it could be different altogether. But try to approach it. Don't see it as a drawback. Don't see it as a limit. Try to see if you can solve the particular situation. It depends how you handle it. If you handle it properly, actually will give you good results. And another one is maintain a flexible attitude that enables continued adaptation, not only of the research design, but also of the research questions in response to unfolding food conditions, rather than rigidly adhering to initial frameworks. Just put in your mind that now that I'm going, even though this is what I have, but anything can happen. So just put in your mind before you go to the food. So if something happens, then try to adjust, because you need to get things that reflect on the ground. So draw ethnographic inspire insight to enhance conceptual sensitivity and integration across methods without implying that formal ethnographic industry. For my case, it was very important to me, and it was very great to me, and that is what I employed, and it's really helped me to uncover things that could not capture in the survey. And that was very good to me. So these are some of the 3 lessons for all of us. These are some of my references. Thank you.
Want to have any questions?
We do. Thanks, Joseph. I was wondering whether you had any experiences with heat stress yourself in the field, or whether your interview data or ethnographic insights were related to the particular season that you were working. We've had honours students, for instance, who've tried to do work about heat, but because honours runs from March to October, it's cold, and so they find the insights about heat when they do their research in the middle of winter really limited, whereas if they were able to do their research in like December and February and things, it would be really different. So I'm just wondering, how the climate conditions kind of influenced your fieldwork itself.
Yeah, I think that when I included in the paper, just I didn't include here, it was really, really true that heat is not easy. Myself, as I was engaging there, I don't know, I can even show you something. You can see I was sweating too much. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see proper the way I was sweating there. It was really easy. After I finished first day, it was not easy for me. After getting back to home, it was too much. And at the end of my food work, I was sick. My supervisor was away. So the temperature was too much. Yeah, the temperature was too much. Yeah, I really felt for them, and they have to be in the food for the whole day. Yeah, and you can see some of them that you ask them questions in the survey. Some of them was like, "Oh, we're used to it." But you see, they are doing the farming, and you see that they will start doing and they will clean themselves. They say they are used to it, and sometimes you still like they will stop for small, but that they don't adapt, that they are used to it. So I feel like participating was very good. Yeah, my friend.
You said that they didn't really experience the hate the same way that you were struggling with it, but maybe like physiologically they were still suffering. Do you have any kind of like, I don't know, hypotheses why they still work in the heat of the day rather than like in cooler periods? Because you say they like, for some reason, you just like work during the hottest parts of the day. Do you kind of like have any theories why?
Yeah, I think there are some differences. I can see that I was expected more than them. Yeah, because they are used to it.
Yeah.
So the way it affects me was not like the way they affect them because they are used to it, even though it still affects them. But if you're a new person, it affects you more than if you're used to it. And also from experience from someone who's happened to finish school but no job. I was interviewing the person, and then the person is now doing farming, and then he was just describing that because he's not used to it, because he was a student, he finished school, no job for her, a lady, no job for her, and then she got married, and nothing. The husband is a farmer, so whether you like it or not, you have to go to farm. And when you go to farm, it's not easy. You see some of them are still farming, but it's find difficult.
No questions? Oh, yeah.
Got one, as an ethnographer.
I didn't conduct inauguration.
You mentioned not, it's useful you're doing some ethnographically inspired stuff without formal ethnography. I struggle a bit to know what formal ethnography is, in the sense that ethnography is always kind of formal and unstructured, except that I think that there are occasions when, with a lot of our students here, and a lot of students that I've taught have always been, at least have some participant observation, even if it's not of the whole thing that's going on. Observe the events. If you're in a community where people are making decisions, attend a meeting and watch who talks and who dominates and what decisions are made. And you can call that event ethnography. But okay, so that's just a mini ethnography. But I sort of question that notion of formal ethnography, because primarily ethnography is not very formal. It is reflexive. It has to be reflexive. You always start rethinking your questions as you go. So I really like what you were doing as an illustration of how you could mix the methods. I'm just not quite sure that it sounds a bit defensive. Defending ethnography, well, I thought it was the best of all the options. Well, it seems to me you can build that into your research from the beginning. Obviously, you couldn't, because it wasn't designed that way. But I wonder if that's a lesson that you can draw, that maybe people need to actually start with the idea that they're going to have some sort of ethnography or participant observation, which is a better term, I think. Yeah. So I really like that. But I'm really interested to see what conclusion you draw. If you write a methodologically oriented paper, that'd be really good.
Thank you very much. I think my conclusion is just about trying to contribute to mixed methods research. Then from that particular one, I argued that, or I indicated that explanation mixed method can be enhanced, or the record of that particular one can be enhanced if we try to add some component of ethnographic into this, try to just do some observation. Then after the the quantitative component and you come to qualitative component. Between that, have ethnographic element there that can help you to know what's on the ground. Combine that one plus the quantity, now follow in your qualitative and you get the real thing.
Any other questions?
It's not a question, it's just a commentary. Like in my case, when I did the interviews, it was also like a agricultural community. In my case, it worked differently, so it was better for them to do the interviews in the evening after they finish work. Trying to get them during work is that we're more focusing in the, even if I could help, there were no keen to do interviews while working. It also worked for me, same, like helping them to do things. But that was more like to build trust. But during those times, it was good to do interviews. So I guess its community is a bit.
I used that, it couldn't help me. Maybe it's simple because the challenge was not just one. Because in that place, they are dominated by Muslims. And Muslims, they don't work on Fridays. They don't work on Fridays. So I decided to go on Fridays and I was not getting anything. Yeah, because of the mistrust that added and then the politician that also added. Yeah, so my case was not just unavailability, but other two components added that really affected me. So I needed to get them to build the trust.
Any other questions, or are we good? Please join me in thanking our three presenters.